Hi, this is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny, sometimes Colorado. Today is May 29th, 2025. Just about to head to Austin, not for consensus because I wasn't invited, but to actually meet with a certain presidential candidate, and we'll discuss that later. But in any event, I wanted to make a quick announcement about an election that's just about to start that's relevant to all Cardano people. So, as you know, we're starting the movement towards SIP 1694 with the Chang hard fork. And Intersect just posted a tweet. Have you been inactive in SanchoNet and been in the Cardano governance journey from the very early days and want to do more? From today, we're encouraging all applications from across our ecosystem to join the Interim Constitutional Committee, the ICC. Keep reading. The ICC will consist of 7 members upholding the interim constitution during the interim period as the community upgrades to Chang. 4 members will be a rollover of input-output Cardano and Emergo, as well as Intersect. And then 3 seats are open to the community, and all are going to serve a 1-year term, which is subject to be changed with the final constitution. We're excited to facilitate the election process for the 3 open seats, and anyone, member or not, can register their candidacy to join the ICC. Later in June, the Summon platform will host a stake-based vote open to all ADA holders, confirming the seats via ranked choice. And here are the key dates. So registration is open. The voting power snapshot takes place June 8th. Registration closes for candidates June 10th. June 13th to June 23rd. Voting is on the Summon platform, and then 3 elected seats will be confirmed. Okay, so you can read more about it at the blog here in Intersect. Community-led governance takes another step forward, and I'll go ahead and post a link for you guys in the chat. There's a link. And if you want to read more about Summon Platform, wonderful platform, great people there, summonplatform.io. And already there's some people that are quite interested. So Rick McCracken, for example, says, we have a group of Cardano peeps who would like to run as one constitutional committee member using multi-sig. So all 6 people would count as 1 vote. The members are potentially Mike, Adam, Jenny, Thomas B, and myself. And of course, I said, hey, you should be a Wyoming DAO, guys. So anyway, it's important to understand, go back to what is the Constitutional Committee. So Chang has a whole bunch of stuff inside of it, Plutus v3, but most importantly, SIP 1694, which is the governance framework for Cardano. And it's a blending of 3 concepts together. So there's democratic representation, so democratic consent. So these are the D-reps, the Constitutional Committee. So that's the on-chain government, as well as the stake pool operators. There's institutions, and institutions are things like the members-based organization, Intersect, the Cardano Foundation, et cetera, that are basically by and for the people. And then you have, finally, the constitutional representation. And so that preserves the integrity of the system. So in the beginning, there's an interim constitution, and you have to turn the government on. So Chang has 2 hard forks, should the stake pool operators approve it. One is to implement Plutus v3 and all of the SIP 1694 logic with the D-reps turned off as a governing body, but registration turned on. Then the goal is to spend about 90 days letting people register to become D-reps, getting delegation preferences and other things in place, just so people can get used to the system so it's a fair distribution. Then turn on, as an additional hard fork using the Constitutional Committee, the D-reps. And at that point, you have a fully functioning government. You have the D-reps, you have an interim constitution, and you have the Constitutional Committee and stake pool operators. The next major governance event will be the Constitutional Convention, followed by constitutional ratification of the output of that process. So you have an interim government, and the final form for government 1.0 will be when the final constitution comes into play. And there, everything's, of course, fair game. Deviation from 1694, having different ways of selecting constitutional committee members, et cetera, et cetera. The interim constitutional committee, their term is basically to get through the entire process of turning the government on. So that's why there's some rollover from the old Genesis key holders to that set. Requires 5 of 7 to turn stuff on. So those 3 elected people are required for that, even if there's complete consensus amongst all the institutions, which there seldom is. So that is a temporary government, and its purpose is to get the DREPs where they need to be and facilitate and steward the first budget process and the first constitutional convention. Whatever the constitutional output is, the Constitution has the freedom to redefine the Cardano government in the articles, which means how the Constitutional Committee members are selected is up for fair games. The nature of DREPs is up for fair game. Additional features and functionality for Cardano is fair game. Everything's there. So how that process is working is there's a civics committee and a subcommittee within the civics committee called the Constitutional Committee, and they're drafting basically a proto-constitution. That will be an input with all their thoughts marked up into at least 50 workshops around the world. And each workshop will mark it up and decide what they like and what they don't like, and then elect a delegate and an alternate. The delegates will then all convene to Argentina, tentatively set for December. And I'm personally going down to Argentina in July to help plan. And JJ's already there right now. He's been there twice already. And the delegates will host a constitutional convention. The conventions where all of those markups of the 50 plus workshops that are held around the world, and hopefully 50 different countries, we're going to try as an ecosystem make that as decentralized as possible. We'll take all of that, plus the first budget process, plus everything people liked about Intersect and other things and what they didn't like about it, plus what they like about DREVs, what they didn't like about it, what they like about the Constitution Committee, what they don't like, as inputs, debate and discuss and create consensus. And each delegate has a vote. And then once the delegates are happy and a majority or some governance faction like that says we like this constitution, then it goes to the blockchain for a vote. So it's important to understand that while this is one process to get to a constitution, because of the nature of CIP 1694, technically speaking, there can be actually competing conventions if people so desire. And that's the magic of Cardano. It's the most decentralized cryptocurrency in the world and will remain so. And we're demonstrating to the entire cryptocurrency space real time how to build a decentralized government for everybody to enjoy and use. So the fact that there's already tons of candidates getting excited just to be interim constitutional committee members to facilitate this process is showing how truly decentralized Cardano is and how magical that is as an ecosystem. So it's a long road ahead in terms of things that need to get done, but temporally speaking, it's moving very quickly. We're getting very close as an ecosystem to Node 9.0, which is the fork candidate for Chang. And as you know, 70% of stake pool operators have to agree that that's a good path forward before an upgrade can be done. Now, typically that takes about a month for that level of consensus. So we'll see when 9.0 comes, how long that takes, what level of QC people require. But already many people in the ecosystem community have been vigorously beating up SanchoNet to look for flaws or other concerns. And a lot of those concerns, which aren't in 9.0, will be resolved in the coming months through it comes in. There's going to be a gap between where the protocol is at and where the Constitution mandates we ought to be. That gap will be the part of the new roadmap for Cardano. The other thing that we're working on right now is trying to create some sort of consensus amongst all the different development organizations. So a bunch of developers aggregated in Toulouse with CF and others leading that effort. And we participated as well. And there was some thought about writing some form of an open letter about how development Cardano works. I think it's an excellent idea to take that effort and merge it together with as many people as possible who are using the protocol and developing protocol as a manifesto for how product development should work moving forward. There's been a huge leap forward in transitioning the GitHub repositories to Intersect in anticipation of a full open source project with full community participation in every aspect of development. But that then does require a more inclusive way of looking at how core developers work and how RFPs are done and in the roadmap itself for the ecosystem. So we know that the constitutional debt will certainly be an important roadmap item. There's also a lot of R&D that we've done that we'd like to find its way into the roadmap, especially through the RFP process. And then obviously there's everything that the community wants as well. And all these have to be put together into a coherent step-by-step process. The good news is that things are completely open and they're speeding up. The prototyping of Ouroboros Laos in Paris is going to be done completely in the open. There's already several months done with Paris, and that entire prototyping group is moving its way to Intersect, and they're going to just start opening up the meetings. And the Laos paper should be coming out, I believe, on Friday, depending upon some last-minute adjustments and changes, alongside a big drop of videos and other things explaining how it works. My hope is that we can get the prototyping done throughout the summer and fall, and then actually have an open RFP process to get it implemented next year. It's very different from how things used to work, but that's the point of increasing decentralization and on-chain governance, is you give people this ability. So we've always been by and for the people, and we've always tried as an ecosystem to pull things together, and this is just another example of it. The Constitutional Committee is a very powerful committee. They are the gatekeepers of the Constitution, and they're kind of a roll-up of a Senate and a Supreme Court. They serve terms, and they operate differently than the D-reps, who are more like a liquid democracy type of view. We are the first system in the world to take principles of a constitutional republic and then combine them with a liquid democracy system. No one's ever done that, and no one's ever done that with a blockchain. And no one's ever done that with a blockchain with millions of people around the world who've never met each other. Yet we're doing it in real time, and we're doing it with grace and dignity. So I'm very proud of everybody who's participating. So this is going to be a fun election. You know, it serves a very specific purpose. It strengthens the governance muscle a little bit, and it gets a lot of new and fresh blood into the conversation, and there's a lot to do. Now, many institutions also have to offer support. There's been open questions, for example, of Constitutional Committee members eventually getting budgets and staff to assist them in their role as Constitutional Committee members. So this is going to be something that's open for debate in the first Cardano budget that comes out as SIP 1694 turns on. And as a special interest group, the governance class of Cardano, both D-reps and Constitutional Committee members do need some help, because the volume of governance work is quite considerable. Just like congressmen and senators have staff, it does make sense for us to allocate some budget to each Constitutional Committee member to do so. So that's going to be an open and vigorous conversation, if anything, to help people keep up with it. Also, tooling is very important. As you know, GovTool and the DAOification of things has been a lot of fun during SanchoNet, and there's certainly a lot of great platforms to poll people and understand what people's intent are, build dashboards to visualize things. But there does also need to be some integration of AI into our ecosystem. And we probably need our own large language model based on something open source and fine-tuned for the needs of Cardano to assist the lawmakers of Cardano, the D-reps and the Constitutional Committee. So these are things that will be discussed at Intersect and outside of Intersect. And of course, we'll try to find ways to work them into the roadmap and budget. But this is an example of how you get things done through a considered and deliberate systematic process in a transparent, open way. And I believe this will become the shining beacon for the rest of the cryptocurrency space about what is decentralization and how should a decentralized government operate. We can't control the markets. We can't control the ebbs and flows of things. But what we can control is our own integrity. And what we can control is the mission. At the end of the day, Cardano was created to be the financial operating system for those who don't have one. There are billions of people around the world that need what we build. That's a fact. And demonstrated every day by how many people are unbanked, how much they pay for remittances and microfinance transactions. And frankly, even in my own country, the United States, there is enormous inequity and unfairness in the way things are done. It just depends on where people are born, who they're born to, and the luck of the day, whether they experience it or not. I've always believed that it's a human right for all of us to use the same systems, same voting systems, the same financial systems, systems with integrity that can't be evil instead of don't be evil. And that's why Cardano exists. We don't just solve the problems of the world, we solve the problems at home at the same time. Each and every one of you who participate in this process, large or small, are taking a step forward on the road towards the liberty of all mankind. That's a privilege that I don't think we've ever been offered before. So thank you for helping all of us. Thank you for being part of this. And I can't wait to see this election. We're getting real close to Chang. We're getting real close to the new era of Cardano. Welcome to the age of Voltaire, my friends. Cheers.